Hey Cowboys Nation! Welcome back to the channel, where today we're tackling some big news around the Dallas Cowboys trade deadline plans. The Cowboys are all about getting better and stronger as we move through this season, even with the ups and downs we've seen. Now, before we get into it, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into the latest updates and rumors. Alright, so here's the deal. As November rolls around, teams across the NFL are preparing for the trade deadline, looking for last-minute moves that could secure a playoff push or fill critical gaps. For most NFL organizations, this time of year brings excitement and big trades that shake things up. But if history tells us anything, the Dallas Cowboys are not likely to make any major moves. Despite some key injuries, especially among our edge rushers, and some obvious areas where our roster could use depth, Dallas appears set on staying quiet. Just before our recent game against the San Francisco 49ers, Stephen Jones made it clear that the Cowboys' approach to the trade deadline would be business as usual. Essentially, Dallas isn't looking to add any big names right now, and instead, they're banking on the return of key players from injury over the next few weeks. Stephen Jones's statement left little room for misinterpretation. The Cowboys won't be making any blockbuster deals. According to Jones, we've got a lot of good players coming back in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and he hinted at the importance of managing the salary cap wisely. Jones also acknowledged that while a great trade could spark some interest, they're primarily focused on developing younger players and filling holes with what we have. But here's the part that's a bit frustrating for fans. The Cowboys currently have the 7th highest cap space in the NFL at $21 million, which means they could easily afford a major addition to bolster our lineup. Still, it seems they're more comfortable filling the roster with short-term rentals or developmental players rather than bringing in a difference-maker who could elevate the team to the next level. Now, Cowboys Nation, we all know how this song goes. Year after year, we see teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, who just acquired both Josh Uche and DeAndre Hopkins, actively strengthening their rosters. Other teams are making bold moves that signal a commitment to winning now. Dallas, on the other hand, seems to settle for just enough to get by. It's not that we don't have talent, but are we putting ourselves in the best position to compete with the league's best? We're currently in need of another wide receiver to complement our core group, and names like Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, and Hopkins have all changed teams without the Cowboys even entering the conversation. And that's not to mention our depleted edge rusher position. Injuries have hit us hard, yet the Cowboys haven't aggressively pursued replacements, and there's little indication they'll be making any moves as the deadline approaches. Adding to the recent shakeups, running back Ezekiel Elliot won't be joining the team on the trip to Atlanta. According to Clarence Hill Jr. from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Elliot has been benched for disciplinary reasons. ESPN's Todd Archer added that Elliott's absence stems from internal team discipline, marking an unexpected twist for one of Dallas's key offensive players. Statistically, Elliot hasn't had a standout year, totaling just 149 rushing yards in 7 games. But he's still responsible for 2 of the Cowboys' 3 rushing touchdowns this season, and his presence brings leadership and experience to the field. Dallas ranks dead last in rushing offense right now, sitting at only 519 rushing yards for the season. To give you an idea of the gap, the Cowboys are a massive 1,081 yards behind the league-leading Ravens. So, who's stepping up in Elliott's absence? We'll be leaning heavily on Rico Dowdle, who's managed 246 rushing yards this season and brings some versatility as a receiver. The team also elevated veteran running back Dalvin Cook and cornerback Josh Butler from the practice squad for this game, adding some much-needed support in the run game. Dallas's approach to this deadline has been predictable but still disappointing for fans who want to see this team truly contend. With our cap space, it's hard to watch as other top teams make impactful trades while the Cowboys sit back, taking minimal action. In a season where we're still on the playoff bubble and fighting through injuries, our cautious approach leaves us relying heavily on the players returning from injury rather than fortifying our roster with proven talent. At the end of the day, the Cowboys' strategy is clear: develop young talent, keep cap space free, and avoid costly trades. But as fans, we can't help but notice the missed opportunities. The Cowboys have the resources to make a splash, but instead, they're taking the safe route, a choice that can feel disappointing when we see other teams making aggressive moves to get stronger. Wouldn't it be incredible to see a big-name wide receiver added to the mix or to secure a solid pass rusher who could alleviate some of the pressure off our injured line? While Dallas sees this as protecting the future, we fans are watching the present slip by. Sure, cap space is important, but so is seizing the opportunity to go after a championship. With Elliot out, Sunday's game will be a real test of our rushing depth. Rico Dowdle has shown promise, but can he handle the load in Elliott's absence? Then there's Dalvin Cook, who brings experience and a veteran's mentality. He may not be a long-term solution, but his elevation this week could provide a temporary boost to the run game. As we head into Sunday, the Cowboys will need a more dynamic offense, and that starts with giving Dowdle and Cook the opportunity to make a real impact. If the team's betting on this combination to turn around the worst rushing attack in the league, then we'll be watching closely to see if it pays off. This season, the Cowboys' passing game has gotten off to its worst start since Dak Prescott took the reins as quarterback. Dallas is currently ranked 23rd in expected points added (EPA) per pass attempt, a key metric that measures the efficiency of each play. In plain terms, that means the Cowboys' passing game isn't putting points on the board the way it used to. And while we all know Prescott's potential, there's a combination of factors holding him and the entire offense back. Let's break it down and see why the Cowboys' passing game isn't clicking. Spoiler alert, it's not just on Dak. Poor pass protection, questionable route concepts, and some curious decision-making on all fronts have contributed to these struggles. And unfortunately, Prescott's stats are reflecting this. He's already thrown 8 interceptions in the first 7 games, nearly matching his total of 9 from all of last year. Let's address the elephant in the room: Dak's interceptions. Prescott is on pace to set a career high in interceptions this season, and there's a reason for that. Almost every part of the passing game seems to be working against him. For one, the pass protection hasn't been consistent. Dallas's offensive line has had some strong moments, but they've struggled to give Prescott the time he needs on certain plays, especially on deep throws. Adding to the pressure, the route concepts and execution from the wide receivers haven't made things any easier. With receivers struggling to create separation, Prescott has been forced to make more throws into tight coverage than any other quarterback in the league this year. That's right, Dak is leading the NFL in tight window throws, which are passes thrown to receivers who have a defender close by, making the play high risk. Prescott hasn't forgotten how to read a defense, nor has he lost his ability to make smart decisions. But with limited options and the pressure of a ticking clock in the pocket, he's forced into these tight window throws that often lead to turnovers. It's a tough situation, and it's easy to see how one problem feeds into another. So, why are the tight window throws a big deal? It's simple. More tight window throws mean a higher chance of turnovers. In 2024, Prescott is among the league leaders in turnover-worthy plays, which refers to any play with a high likelihood of becoming a turnover, like forced throws into coverage. And it's not hard to see why. When you don't have receivers getting open and the defense is constantly pressuring you, it creates a perfect storm of risky decisions. Think about it this way: Dallas's offense hasn't been able to keep defenses honest. The running game has been inconsistent, which means opponents can afford to focus on shutting down the passing game. As a result, defenses are stacking up against our receivers, and Dak has to throw into these small, contested spaces. It's not a winning formula, and unfortunately, it's been a predictable outcome week after week. Now, I know the first instinct is to look at Dak Prescott and place the blame squarely on him. But this isn't just about the quarterback. Every aspect of the Cowboys' offense is contributing to these struggles. Let's talk about how. Coaching and play design. The play calling and route concepts have been criticized as ineffective. When plays are called that don't play to the team's strengths, or routes are designed that don't create separation, it forces Prescott to throw into crowded coverage. There needs to be a fresh approach that prioritizes getting receivers open and creating more options for Dak. Wide receivers struggling to create separation. A quarterback can only throw to someone who's open. And this season, the Cowboys' receiving core has struggled with creating that needed separation. Without a reliable go-to guy who can consistently shake defenders, Prescott is left to make those high-risk throws, often into double or triple coverage. Offensive line and pass protection. A quarterback's success is heavily influenced by the offensive line. When the line fails to protect him, Dak's forced to throw quickly or abandon plays altogether. This is a big reason why we're seeing those desperation throws in tight windows. He doesn't have the luxury of waiting for a play to fully develop. Run game ineffectiveness. A strong run game can keep defenses honest, making it easier to pass effectively. But when the Cowboys' run game doesn't force defenses to respect it, opponents can focus on pass coverage, crowding Prescott's options even more. The defense's struggles. Let's not forget, our defense has had its share of problems, too. Dallas's defense currently ranks 30th in the league, and that means the offense is often playing from behind, trying to catch up. This adds pressure on Dak and the offense to force throws and make high-stakes plays, often resulting in turnovers. So, Cowboys Nation, let's not oversimplify the problem by pointing fingers at just one or two individuals. It's a team-wide issue, with the coaching staff, offensive line, receivers, and even the defense all contributing to the predicament Prescott and the offense find themselves in. The million-dollar question: how do we fix this? It won't be easy, but there are steps Dallas can take to get the passing game back on track. Better play design and adjustments. The coaching staff needs to make serious adjustments to create plays that open up passing lanes and utilize the talents of each player effectively. Simplifying route concepts and using more play action could help get receivers open and reduce tight window throws. Receiver accountability and route execution. Receivers need to focus on executing routes with precision and finding ways to create that all-important separation. Adding more motion pre-snap and switching up formations might give them an edge in getting open. Stronger pass protection. The offensive line needs to step up and provide consistent protection to give Prescott time to make reads and progressions. With a little more time, Dak can avoid forced throws and make better decisions downfield. Balanced offensive attack. The run game needs to be more effective to keep defenses guessing. When defenses can't anticipate pass plays, they're less likely to stack coverage against our receivers, giving Prescott more options. All right, Cowboys fans, now it's your turn. Do you agree with the front office's cautious approach, or do you think Dallas should be making more aggressive moves to stay competitive this season? With the trade deadline approaching and our season hanging in the balance, what's your take? Should we be pushing for a game changer, or is it smarter to wait for our key players to return from injury? Let us know in the comments below. This is a conversation we need to be having, and we want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more Cowboys news, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for tuning in, and let's keep the Cowboy spirit strong.